I never thought I'd say the words. They pointed a gun at my child. But there I was, standing in the middle of my front yard, frozen to the spot, watching a middle-aged woman in a black polo shirt embroidered with some made-up badge level a pistol at my 8-year-old son. It was like something out of a bad dream. No real HOA officer, if there is even such a thing, should be pointing a weapon at a child playing with a soccer ball. But there was no mistaking what was happening. My son, Lucas, stood maybe 30 feet away from me, stunned in place near the edge of the lawn, soccer ball at his feet, his blue jersey slightly too big, his curly brown hair bouncing slightly in the wind. He looked confused. Frozen, not even scared at first, just confused. I, meanwhile, stood beside my car, fumbling for the trunk handle with one hand and clutching a grocery bag with the other, my keys still in my palm. I hadn't even had time to process it. One moment I was planning dinner. The next, I was watching a woman who called herself HOA enforcement aim a gun at my son. The morning had started normally. Lucas had gone outside to practice his dribbling. We'd moved to Brookdale Estates just a few months ago after losing my wife, Claire, to a long illness. It had been a brutal year, and the move was supposed to be a reset. Our new home was quiet, cozy, and right up against a stretch of conservation land. It seemed like the perfect place to raise Lucas. We were healing slowly. At first, the HOA here seemed typical. A few newsletters, some landscaping rules, reminders to keep your bins tucked behind the fence. Nothing unusual. But a few weeks after we moved in, I started getting strange notices. One claimed our trash cans weren't the right color. Another said our fence exceeded that approved community height standard by 2 inches based on a regulation I'd never heard of. The tone got nastier. Repeat violations may result in enforcement action, one of them said in bold red letters. Then strangers started showing up. Always in black polos. Always with fake-looking badges. They knocked. Left pamphlets. Glared when I asked who they were. Then there was the black SUV. The first time I saw it cruise by slowly, I thought nothing of it. But the second and third time, same day, windows dark and rolled up tight, I knew something was wrong. That afternoon, I was unloading groceries when the SUV crept around the corner again. It stopped 2 houses down, then rolled up beside our curb. I looked toward the yard. Lucas was still playing, laughing to himself as he zigzagged around our little patch of grass. The woman stepped out of the passenger side of the SUV. Short hair, thick sunglasses, a permanent scowl like she was chewing on sour lemons. Another woman emerged from the driver's side, taller, broad-shouldered, hair pulled back into a bun so tight it looked like it hurt. Both wore the same black HOA polos. Kid, the short one, barked, pointing at Lucas, "You're in violation of Community Code 12F. No unapproved sports activity on HOA property." Lucas froze. The ball rolled slowly to the curb. "It's not public property," I called out, my voice cracking with disbelief as I slammed the trunk shut. "That's our lawn." The taller woman stepped forward and reached toward her belt, and that's when my world stopped. She pulled out a black pistol. Not a taser. Not pepper spray. A gun. I dropped the bag. Keys hit the ground. "Hey!" I shouted. "Put that down. No sudden moves," she snapped, raising the weapon a little higher. "We've received multiple complaints about unsanctioned recreational equipment, child disturbances, and flagrant non-compliance." Lucas was trembling now. I could see it from where I stood. "You can't be serious," I shouted, starting to move toward him. My feet were heavy. My breath shallow. She aimed the pistol straight at my son's chest. Then, from the side yard, someone moved. Sam Carter, my next-door neighbor. I didn't know much about him, only that he was ex-military, polite but quiet. Mid-30s, lean build, sharp eyes. We talked once when I was mowing the lawn. He mentioned he used to serve as a Navy medic. He wasn't quiet now. "Drop it." Sam's voice rang like thunder. He moved like lightning, sprinting from the fence line in cargo shorts and a grease-stained t-shirt. The tall woman spun toward him, gun still raised, but Sam was faster. He closed the gap in 2 strides, twisted her wrist with a sharp motion, and the gun clattered to the pavement. She shrieked. The short woman reached toward her hip, but Sam shoved her against the SUV with a force that left her winded. It was over in seconds. Both women staggered, shocked. Lucas stood completely still, his lip trembling. Sam kept one knee on the tall woman's back, pinning her to the ground. "Grab that gun," he shouted to me. I did carefully clicking on the safety like Sam had shown me once months ago when we talked about home protection. I stood between Lucas and the women, heart racing, pulse in my ears. More neighbors came outside, phones up, some filming, some dialing 911. They have no idea who they're messing with, the short woman hissed. We're legitimate HOA enforcement. You're all interfering with compliance. No, you're criminals, I growled, shielding Lucas with my arm. And you just made the biggest mistake of your lives. Sirens wailed in the distance. Sam didn't move. He stayed grounded, steady, alert. You could tell the adrenaline was still coursing through him, but he was calm. Professional. Controlled. He muttered directions to me. He kept glancing at every movement, every corner. He was in full protective mode. When the first squad car arrived, the officers got out cautiously, weapons drawn, unsure what to make of the scene. Sam raised a hand. They pulled a gun on a child, he said firmly. I disarmed them. Guns safe. Right there. The police moved fast, separating everyone. I set the pistol gently on the pavement and stepped back. Lucas wrapped his arms around my leg. He wouldn't let go. The officers asked questions. Our neighbors backed us up. One man handed over a full video. Another showed a still shot of the woman aiming the gun. The officers cuffed both women without hesitation. They never showed real badges. Their SUV had stolen plates. Their IDs? Fake. Sam told the officers what he saw. How he heard the confrontation from his backyard. How he'd looked over the fence and seen the weapon come out. How he reacted without thinking. I brought Lucas inside. He wasn't physically hurt, just shaken. Sam came in too and checked him over, gentle, steady hands, making sure there was no trauma. The only damage was emotional. But that was enough. That night, I barely slept. My phone buzzed, non-stop, neighbors offering to testify. Others just checking on us. Sam stayed up on his porch. I saw the glow of his kitchen light well past 2 a.m. The legitimate HOA president, Mr. Bradley, posted an emergency message in the neighborhood chat. We have no armed enforcement division. None of this was authorized. His message ended with, we are cooperating fully with police. The next morning, local reporters arrived. I kept Lucas inside. I didn't want him exposed to cameras or microphones or headlines about how a random Saturday afternoon turned into a standoff. But the truth was out now. The story spread. By that evening, the HOA called a meeting at the community center. It was packed. Dozens of residents shared story threats, strange finds, unmarked cars. One elderly woman cried as she admitted she'd paid $800 in compliance fees to strangers in black polos. Sam stood up and told our story again, calm, detailed, humble. He didn't dramatize it. He didn't need to. When he finished, people clapped. Some cried. I stood too. I told them about the notices, about the surveillance, about the women calling my son a code violator and pointing a gun at him. By the end of the meeting, the mood had shifted. Fear had become fury. Sam and I started a neighborhood watch. The Real HOA backed us. The local police assigned a Detective Sergeant Dana Hartlado investigate the fake enforcement team. She suspected it was part of a broader scam. Her team traced the SUV to a dummy shell company called Brookline Management, linked to a man named Richard Malden, wanted for property fraud in 3 states. Then one night, Sam and I caught someone sneaking around our mailboxes. Another woman in black. She tried to pepper spray Sam. He dodged, wrestled her down, and found a black duffel bag full of forged notices. It was the break the police needed. Eventually, arrests followed. One of the imposters was identified as Valerie Stokes, career con woman, known for impersonation and real estate scams. Her partner remained unnamed, but the operation had been dealt a major blow. Lucas began to smile again, to play again, to sleep through the night. And Sam? He became a neighborhood legend. A quiet, steady presence. A man who stepped in when it mattered most. Eventually, he told me he'd be moving. Said he didn't stay long in one place, not because he didn't care, but because some people are meant to help and then move on. Before he left, I shook his hand. Lucas hugged him. Sam said nothing grand. Just take care of each other. A few months later, the trial ended. The imposters were found guilty: fraud, assault, conspiracy. The judge said, "This community was terrorized. It won't happen again." I framed the news headline, HOA imposters caught after targeting child neighborhood hero intervenes. It sits by our front door next to a photo of Lucas in his soccer jersey. Sometimes I still look across the street and expect to see Sam on his porch. Sometimes I think I hear his voice telling me how to stay calm. And every now and then when Lucas asks if Sam will ever come back, I smile and say, maybe. But even if he doesn't, we'll always remember what he did for us. Because some heroes don't wear capes. They wear cargo shorts, carry first aid kits, and step forward when no one else can.